So, it's the first midweek games of the season, and it's League 1 and League 2 shine for the midweeks. Hi again, it's me. Today, we're doing my League 1 and League 2 matchday 4 op predictions. The first midweek set of fixtures for the leagues this season. And yet, like to do today, I'll get ourselves in at least 5 or 6 lots today. If you get that, that'd be nice. And make sure you subscribe out there as we're trying to get ourselves up to 200 subs by the end of the summer days. And as we're saying this, the time I'm recording, we're 9 subs away of 200. So every subscriber counts to 200. It matters. Every subscriber matters. But yep, no messing about. As we're going to land to our hosts in the county ground, the 7:45 kickoff. Our host lands at the county ground for Swindon versus Barnet. Swindon are 6th place in the table. Barnet 22nd out of the relegation zone, but still pointless with 3 out of 3 defeats, losing 2-1 to Walsall. But the one good thing about Barnet is that they've got the latest goal from their game against Walsall on Saturday, and Swindon beat Oldham 2-1, but didn't get the latest goal. But yeah, it is what it is for Swindon, but at least they got the job done at Oldham on Saturday. But it's going to be a very good game to watch, really. Last I met, I think one of the games, Barnet smashed Swindon 4-1 at the county ground, and it was the exact same season as Barnet went out of the Football League, and Swindon were just chilling. But I do think it's going to be a good game to watch, really. It's going to be an exciting game to watch, really. I wish I could go to the county ground for this game, but I think that Swindon will probably absolutely. I think Swindon will get the dub, and Barnet will sadly end up on 4 out of 4 defeats. I think it'll be a 3-1 win to Swindon for this big clash or the exciting clash. But we're landing into League 1 now. We're Stockport and Bradford now. Yep. It is 4th versus 6th. Bradford, what a win against Luton. And there was a racist abuse happening at that game with Bradford. Whoever it is, you are a disgrace. There should be no room for racism in this football league or anywhere. There should be no room for racism anywhere. There should be no room for racism. But last time we met in the league, it was 0-0, and it was also the same match day, but as the last time we met at Airdrie Park, and it was 1-1. But we could be seeing a replay here, but Stockport drawn 2-2. Got that spot on. Absolute W's. And Bradford coming up with a 2-1 win, like I said earlier, like seconds ago. But it's really a good game to watch, really. I think Bradford is going to pull off another upset. A 3-2 win to Bradford for this one. And the Huddersfield and Doncaster now. It's a Yorkshire derby. Who's hap? Yeah, last I met, it was in the EFL Trophy, and Doncaster beat Huddersfield 2-1 with an unexpected win when the last time I met for Doncaster. But Huddersfield somehow lost 3-2 to Blackpool. Somehow they ended up being 3-1 down at one point, which is just unreal. But could Huddersfield return the winning ways? But what a win they pulled off against Leicester last midweek in the Carabao Cup. But I do think it's a really good game to watch, really. I don't think there might be goals here. I have Luke Morning and Alpha May, both from my fantasy team, and they're facing each other, so I have a feeling there's going to be goals. I'm thinking of a 2-2 draw. Doncaster's going to hold on to Huddersfield for this one. And the ASM winning to Cardiff now. My days. ASM winning 10th place, beating Reading 2-1 in the weekend, and Cardiff are up to 2nd. What a result! 3-0 Cardiff. I think it was. But yeah, it's going to be a good game to watch, really. I think this is the first competitive meeting they're going against each other, I think. But yeah, it's going to be a good game to watch, really. We are all out not expecting someone to be in the top 10, but big credits to them, really. Big credits. But if they win here, they could be called dark horses. They could be the dark horse for now. But I do think it's going to be a very tight game to watch, really. But I do think that Cardiff will only just beat someone in here. I think a 2-1 win to Cardiff for this one. Then the Luton take on Wigan now. Both sat next to each other. It's Josh Kelly versus Sam Tickle in goal. who retired for this one. Last time I met, they were in the Championship. Can't you believe it? And that was the season when Luton got promoted to the Prem and Wigan got relegated to League One. Straight down they were. But time flies, really. Time flies. And anything could happen in them 2 seasons. Anything could happen in 2 seasons. But here they are facing each other again. But it's going to be very tight game to watch, really. Luton suffered their second L of the season in all competitions. And it's going to be a very tight one. It's going to be really tight. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw for this one, but I do think it's going to be a very tight game. In the Peterborough taking Barnsley now. Barnsley, both teams haven't won in the weekend, but Peterborough. What is going on at Peterborough at the moment? Peterborough, 3 out of 3 defeats, 4 out of 4 defeats in all competition. And the most embarrassing one is losing 2-0 to Accrington in the Carabao Cup. I'm kind of worried about Peterborough because they could be a League 2 club. At this rate, they could be a League 2 club next season, facing off like Southend or Wealdstone, going up to them away and heading up to them. But they need to fix it quick. But I don't think it's going to happen here. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Barnsley's going to smash Peterborough. I think a 3-0 win to Barnsley for this one. In the Plymouth taking on Leyton Orient now. 2023 League 1 champions versus 2023 League 2 champions. And they're going against each other at home park. And Plymouth, 3 out of 3 defeats. Another big team, pointless and 3 out of 3 defeats, despite winning 3-2 against QPR, who are a division below. And yeah, what a win it was against QPR. And for Leyton Orient really drawn 2-2. What a game! And why is Richie Williams always not in the stands area? Why is he not in the touchline? Look, just Leyton Orient fans, if you want to, comment why. But maybe I'll search that up. But who knows? But it's going to be a very tight game to watch, really. I think that Plymouth will probably get the first point of the season. I'm going to go for a very tight one. It's going to be a 2-2 draw for this one. In the Port Vale taking on Stevenage now. Port Vale have not scored and conceded in the past 3 hours of league football. And for Stevenage, top of the table, 9 points, 3 wins in a row. Are they actually the dark horses for season, Stevenage? And I put in a 19th place in my predictions. No, I said that because last season I put Bristol Rovers 4th. They ended up being relegated. And now look at them. I cursed them, didn't I? Now I'm cursing Stevenage, or am I? But it's going to be a very tight game to watch, really. Could Stevenage make it 4 out of 4 wins? Could they actually do it? It's going to be very tight, but I think even that Stevenage will probably drop points for the first time this season in the league. I really think a 1-1 draw is happening. But then heading into League 2 now with a big clash. Fleetwood versus Crewe now. Last night, I remember that Fleetwood destroyed Crewe 4-1 at the Moonflake Stadium. And what a result that was. But for Fleetwood, 5th place, Crewe top of the table, 9 points. And pretty impressive for Crewe, really. But they're not the only ones that got maximum points, because we'll get on to another team in a minute. But it's going to be a very tight game to watch, really. I think there might be goals, but I really think that it's going to be a very tight. I don't know who's going to win here. I'm going to separate it in a 1-1 draw. In the Bristol Rovers taking Oldham now. Both teams came from 2 separate divisions last season. One coming from League 1 and one coming from the National League. And yep, last met at the Memorial Stadium, it was 1-0 Bristol Rovers, and they got their first dub of the season, Bristol Rovers. And could we see a replay of that happening? But I think the last time they actually met each other, it was at the Boundary Park, and I really think that Oldham might have won, or I think Oldham won, but I don't know really. But it's going to be a very tight game to watch, really. Bristol Rovers are absolutely, I'm starting to worry about Bristol Rovers. And they could get back-to-back relegations, which I do not want, and I don't want to see, but it's going to be very tight. But I really think that Bristol Rovers will get their first point of the season. Oldham's getting 3 out of 4 draws. A 1-1 draw is happening at the Memorial Stadium. Then the Crawley took an MK Dons, the Scott Lindsay derby, and the aggregate scoreline, the last they met in the playoff semi-finals in 2024. 8-1 Crawley. That's the exact same result as Man City got battered by Middlesbrough 8-1 at the Riverside. And I think it was one of the final games before the oil money came in for Man City. But we're not talking about them in this video because it's all about League 1 and League 2. But, yep. And yeah, but one of my predictions I really did when they played each other, I said 6-1 MK Dons. It turned out to be 2-1 Crawley. If I say that, but here's the thing, MK Dons haven't even conceded a goal since Paul Warren came. So, yeah, that's the issue. But MK Dons won 5-0 against Tottenham in the weekend. But could they win 5-0 again? But Crawley, it's really tight game to watch, really. I have been, it's going to be 0-0 for almost the entire game, but I really think MK Dons will probably leave it late. A 1-0 win to MK Dons for this one. And then the Tottenham taking Bromley now. Yeah. Yep, last limit, it was on the final day, and Bromley beat Tottenham 2 or 3-0. It was on the final day, but it's gonna be a good game to watch, really. Yeah, Tottenham are pointless, rock bottom of the EFL and League 2, and Bromley are just chilling 11th place, drawing 2-2 against Peterborough. What a game that was. What a game. But I do think that Bromley will probably catch a dub here. I think a 2-0 win to Bromley for this one. Then the Gillingham taking Chesterfield now. Yep. Last in the Met, Gillingham beat Chesterfield at the Gillingham Stadium 1-0, and it suffered Chesterfield's first defeat of the season. And Chesterfield, 9 points, 3 out of 3 dubs. Absolute cinema for Chesterfield. Could they? I know they're the favourites, but I did not expect them to be really up there this season. Some people were saying they could win the league. I said that before, but because it's going to be a competitive season, but they could actually do it. They could do it. They could actually do it. But I do think Chesterfield hasn't even lost since Gareth Ainsworth came in, so it's going to be a very tight one for Chesterfield. But it's going to be really tight. I don't think anyone is going to get. I don't think we're having a 100% record at the end of this match day in League 2, because Gillingham will hold on to Chesterfield in a 2-2 draw. Then to the 8 o'clock kickoff, Walsall and Grimsby now. Walsall, what a win against Barnet 2-1. What a hold it was for Walsall winning 2-1. But were they lucky? But Grimsby were kind of lucky, scoring in the first minute and the last minute, winning 2-1 against Newport. Yeah, it's going to be a very tight game to watch. Last minute, Grimsby battered Walsall 3-1, and that holded Walsall's anxiety up into the air because they were holding top spot for over 100 plus days, and they were tailed with Bradford. And yeah, it was really tight for Walsall when they lost in it, but I do think, could we see a replay happening again? But I do think it's going to be a really tight one. But Walsall and Grimsby, I think they're going to share the points out. A 1-1 draw for this one. And then to the Wednesdays now, Notts County taking Shrewsbury now. Yep. Last in the Met, it was in the FA Cup in 2023. I think they faced each other in the FA. I think Shrewsbury won, 3-2 it was at the county ground, but it's different stories because both teams are winless. But it's going to be really tight. It's going to be really, really tight. But I do think Notts County will get their first dub. I think a 2-1 win to Notts County for this one, getting their first dub. And then to the final game in the 8 o'clock kickoff on Wednesday, Bolton taking Reading now. It was a Premier League clash. 1.5 decade ago. Not only 1.5 decade, about 18 years ago, but now they're facing off each other in League 1 for the 3rd season in a row. And yeah, Van Reading are pointless and 3 out of 3 defeats unexpectedly, rock bottom. But the bright side is they got the last goal in their last match they played on Saturday. But It's going to be really tight. It's going to be really tight. But Bolton drawn on the Barnsley, but it's going to be really tight. It's going to be really, really tight. I have a feeling Reading will get the first point. It's going to be a 1-1 draw for this one. But yeah, and here's the rest of my predictions for this midweek match day right here. And yeah, you can comment down below on what your predictions are going to be. And yeah, thank you for watching this video. I've enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and share. And you'll see you guys later. Bye.